What's good, guys? It's Ilsun4K, and with all the madness going on in the classic gaming world right now, I kind of felt like I had to make this video because it's something I've been into for a long time. I've been watching classic gaming content, or I should say retro gaming content, depending on how you want to view it, since the mid to late 2000s, like a lot of you, before I started my own channel. And I think it's something that's rather interesting because, you know, we'll talk about later on in this video, you expect me to have, like, a gigantic classic gaming collection full of something like this, maybe a niche one. I don't, and I'll explain why after this video, and in this video, of course. But I want to talk about the whole thing by the gentleman, by Karl Jobsts. I hope I'm saying your name right, Karl. Karl Jobsts posted this video where he recently pointed out all of this fishy stuff that anyone who's been into the classic gaming collection market has been keeping a close eye on and already had known about, but he more or less connected a lot of dots that everybody had already seen but couldn't connect themselves. And how it turns out is, recently, the world's most expensive video game sold for $2 million, but before that, that same video game sold for $1.6 million, and that was a sealed Super Mario 64. That's right, the same game sold twice for a whole bunch of money that nobody can make sense of, because I don't know how much you're into classic gaming, but sealed video games are kind of like the top of the mountain. But a sealed Mario 64 is not exactly the rarest thing to find because of how many Super Marios are made. Remember, that was a player's choice game. There were millions of that game made. Literally millions, because it sold over 1 million. There's a special box commemorating it, you know? It's not a very rare game to find sealed. It's still a hefty game. I want to say, before all this went down, you would still pay, like, you know, 5 to 10 grand for a graded and sealed game. And a graded game is, of course, done by a company like Water or VGA, where you send your game out and they grade it and send it back, and that's the official number. So anyway, Karl notices that these games are just selling for a ridiculous amount of money. And before these two games sold for a ridiculous amount of money, another game, which was a regular Super Mario Brothers Black Box Edition from 1985, which was actually an early release version that was only available in the tri-state area before it was released nationally in 1985. It was a trial run done in the tri-state area, which I'm from, Jersey, and it's really hard to find one of these boxed and sealed and graded. So 100 grand, while it raised some eyebrows, wasn't so strange. Until Karl noticed that the people who bought these games were not just one person, but a group of people, and they seem to have purchased the same games themselves. Even stranger is, one of the owners of the game actually had something to do with owning Heritage Auctions. And another owner of the game, remember, it was split between 3 people, actually owned WADA grading. So the company that grades video games and the company that sells video games happen to have a hand in owning 2 of the most valuable video games ever. And they were so clever about this that, believe it or not, one of these guys, and I can't remember if it's the guy from WADA or the guy from Heritage Auctions, he's actually one of the guys Rick from Pawn Stars calls anytime he has an issue. So, keeping in smartness, this is how cunning these guys can be and how ruthless smart individuals are when they want to be. This guy brings his game, the sealed Mario game that was sold for 100 grand, the regular one, not Mario 64 for $1 million. I'm just trying to keep everybody on the same page here. He brings the sealed Mario game in, and they offer him X amount of dollars, and he says, no, I paid this much for it, it's worth this much, you know, da-da-da-da-da, and Rick says, I have a guy. He calls the guy, it's the guy that I just mentioned from before, who's in cahoots with the guy with the game behind the counter on some, like, you know, James Bond spy shit. He's saying, oh, you know, this game is worth way more than you're offering him. It's probably worth more than he paid for it, if I recall correctly. And he also stated that, you know, one day a video game could sell for $1 million. That was worth fucking up my mic stand. Could sell for $1 million. So all of a sudden, you know, fast forward, what is it, 3, 4, I don't know, not too long later, this game sells for $1.6 million, and then it sells for $2 million. And Karl Jobst goes and makes this video connecting everything. And again, it's a really awesome video. You make sure you check it out in the link below, because I'm giving like cliff notes, and poor cliff notes at that, for how in-depth he went. If you're really interested in this, he's owed a full video view, because even if you're not into classic gaming, this shit is nuts. But this brings me to my point about, you know, retro gaming, classic gaming, that whole spiel. This is a classic game. This is not a retro game. A retro game would be Sonic Mania. Sonic Mania is a game that took something that was classic and made it retro. This hat is inspired by a classic design, but it is retro. The same thing goes for this shirt. As you can see, I'm tying in a whole message here, so you understand what I mean when I say I'm not a classic collector, but I'm a retro collector. Because I have a lot of cool retro stuff. I mean, you guys have seen my video for, what is it, the Nightmare Trash one? Yeah, Nightmare Trash, the Jason Voorhees mask. You can check that out above. I'll have a link for it. I recently just bought the Friday the 13th NECA version of Jason Voorhees for Nintendo, the blue suit, purple mask affair. I bought that recently at my friend's company opening, Cards to Go. You got to check them out in Robbinsville, New Jersey. They're good people. And while we're at it, fuck it, I bought this at Digital Press for $9.99 in 2015-16. But this is why I don't collect classic gaming, because it's just a rabbit hole in one way or another. And I know none of us are really going to sit here and be like, well, them selling a game for $1 million affects me. It doesn't really affect us. It doesn't matter. This game, Castlevania 2, was $10. $10 in 2017, I want to say. Maybe it's $12 or $13 now. There's nothing wrong with collecting. I don't knock anybody who just gets into collecting. You've gotten to collecting 20 years ago or 20 minutes ago. It doesn't matter to me. Do what makes you happy. Just don't get taken and swindled. If you're a content creator, before you go thinking you need one of these for your background, maybe you should think about, investing in a background that's a little more in depth. I use a green screen right now, but I promise you guys in October and from that point forward, we're going to have some fun with backgrounds and setups, because I actually have probably 15 feet of space behind me to make something really cool and fun with that we could enjoy. I'd rather invest in that for my content than just throw another run-of-the-mill game collection, especially if I'm going to fill it with some what is this, like $10 games, etc., etc. And I also know myself, because anytime you get involved in one of these, it's always something that hooks you in and brings you further. Like, really, I'm not going to lie, I would like a black box Mario game. I would love a black box Mario game. It doesn't even have to be the early version, sealed, whatever. I would love just a black box, complete in box Mario game. And how it works is you want one of them, and then you get one, and then you're like, well, it'd be cool if I made a shelf space, and I got my favorite 5. And all of a sudden your favorite 5 turns into your favorite 10. The next thing you're like, well, I might as well just have the whole collection. And that's how it goes. That's how I would do it, and I can't do that. Because I'd rather just be like, all right, I bought the best webcam. Now I just bought the best controller. I bought the best PC. I'd rather provide and invest money into my content for you guys to enjoy and me to enjoy doing than just be some piece of set work in the background, because that's some rather expensive setware. I would love to have an arcade cabinet. I'm looking about building one of those. Something to add some spice, because the whole green screen thing is fun, but it makes videos like this less personable when I use it. So that's why I actually have it off in this video. That's why I don't retro collect. That's why I do retro collect, but I don't classic collect. Retro collecting is a lot more fun and enjoyable to me. I enjoy seeing what other people have done with the intellectual properties I've grown up with, be it a mask in a display case or, action figure or something. I'm currently on the hunt for the Godzilla NECA action figure, complete in box if you can find it. Really, there's no other way to describe it. I just prefer that one. And again, like I said, if you want to get into classic gaming, you should, if you want to have fun with it. It's really cool to have the old hardware in your hands and play it. Stick the cartridge in, doesn't work, you blow on it. We all been there. You know what I'm talking about. It's just you got to make sure not to get taken, understand your limits, and just know that, the next big thing is always around the corner. And if you feel that something is becoming too popular, maybe check out something else. Right now, PlayStation 1 is getting cheaper, I think, but PlayStation 2 is going up. It's always some sort of stock market cryptocurrency-like levels of trading for video games. And I think it's really important to just know your market and be smart about it and just enjoy it. Enjoy whatever you do. Whether you enjoy retro or classic gaming, it doesn't really matter. But I just want to say thanks, guys, for checking me out. It's Ilson4K. Make sure you catch me every Thursday on the Total Terrorathon Thursday at twitch.tv/Ilson4K, where I'm doing that horror gaming every Thursday night starting at 9 p.m. Always a horror game, Resident Evil, Dead by Daylight, something like that. Always a good time. Dual PC setup, always high-end 1080p streams. Make sure to like and follow me everywhere. Like and subscribe to the channel. Means a lot to me, guys. All right, guys, listen, it's Ilson4K. Thanks for checking out the video.